My favorite photo. I'll never forget the day. It was the first nice day coming out of a long winter. So I was driving around to check out some of my favorite West Windsor birding sites. I was seeing a lot of hawks, kestrels, and pheasants in this one area in the port of Windsor down by the Detroit River, so I headed down that way to see if there was anything out there. And to my surprise, I saw this. Nothing special really, it's a red-tailed hawk sitting on top of a pole. But it was interesting enough, so I decided to pull over and take some photos of it. This area where the pole is at the end of a road called Sprucewood. It leads into a dirt road and it goes almost all the way down to the Detroit River. And it's right next to a huge wheat and grain processing hub. Semi-trucks haul grain and soy to the facility to drop it off. From there, it's loaded into lake freighters and shipped out of the region. Because of all the trucks getting filled with grain all the time, there's always a ton of birds around. So it makes for a really interesting spot to go and watch birds. There would be a lot of birds already because it's so close to the Detroit River, but add in the supply of grain that has fallen out of the trucks or just falls around while shipping, there are always a ton of birds. Birds like starlings, cardinals, all kinds of different sparrow varieties are always around, and as a result, there's also lots of red-tailed hawks and kestrels. There's also a large colony of Canada geese living right there on ADM property on the other side of the fence, and from where I was taking photos of the hawk, I could actually hear them, and they were pretty close. But I was doing my best to ignore them. So I was standing there and I began to take photos of the hawk, and maybe it had just eaten, but for whatever reason it didn't fly away right away. And I was able to get in nice and close and get some photos of the hawk with the nice sky in the background. At one point I even saw a helicopter fly by in the background. Okay, what happened next was one of those magical moments that you only get every once in a while as a bird photographer. I'll never forget it, and I'm happy that I had my camera with me that day. At that moment, 40 yards away on the Detroit River, a powerboat came roaring down towards my location, headed east to west. I didn't think anything of it at first, but soon the geese on the other side of the ADM fence started going crazy. The boat was an alarm to them. They got up and started walking and then running, and finally the flock of maybe 45 to 50 geese took flight. Their trajectory had them flying right between me and the red-tailed hawk on top of the post. I knew what was going to happen, so I trained my camera right on the hawk and waited. I stood by and watched the geese approach and began to rifle off as many photos as I could. Wow. To my surprise, the hawk stayed put. It just stood its ground while the geese passed it on both sides. Then, just like that, the geese were gone. I could no longer hear the boat. It was just myself and the hawk. I knew some of the pics that I had taken were going to be keepers. I watched the hawk for a little while longer until it got bored and flew off. It was a magical birding experience for me. As a side note, I posted one of my hawk and geese photos shortly after that on social media, and I ran into a birder friend of mine that week at Ojibwe, and I asked him if he had seen the photo because I was proud of it and I wanted other people to see it. "Yes, I saw it," he responded. "Photoshop, right?" was the only thing that he had to say. "No, it's not Photoshop." Well, you can't win them all, but hopefully seeing the sequence of photos helps lend believability to my story. And that is one of my favorite photos. What magical experience have you had while photographing birds? Please let me know in the comment section. For more, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Michael Evans, Windsor, Ontario.